Prime Minister has put a lot of focus on India's semiconductor industry, given the importance it has. Can you tell the Indian owners why this is so important and what is the strategic significance of why the Indian government is putting so much emphasis on semiconductor?
So, as we know, semiconductor is really the language we use. It's the basis, the material on which electronics is designed. All of the emerging, evolving new applications that you see around us, right? Autonomous cars, next generation wireless communications and such, networking, wireless networking, wired networking, optical networking, backbone infrastructure, it's all based on one material, semiconductor, right? So electronics based on semiconductor is going to be absolutely mission critical, is at the backbone, the very backbone of the future of technology and electronics. Machine learning also, right, is based on, you have to build the hardware to support ML. Therefore, you got to have the company or country or entity that controls is good at circuit design or chip manufacturing is going to rule the world, right? So it's kind of absolutely essential. So I think that's perhaps the reasoning behind it, but it also gives jobs to a lot of people. It has secondary benefits, obviously,
Yeah.
right? So from that perspective, I think that's the fundamental underlying reason.
Where do you see India stands now in terms of semiconductor industry?
Yeah, so there's multi-part answer, right? So semiconductor, you can break it up into multiple segments. Manufacturing is one part of it, design is another part, conceptualization. So India has done well with outsourced activities, right? You have a lot of companies doing a lot of great things outside of India. A lot of designs are happening outside of India, and a lot of implementation is happening within India. Those implementations are largely owned, right, intellectual property wise, by many of these companies that are outside of India. What India needs to do is develop a slew of companies, right, or engender the development of such companies that can own the intellectual property. I think that's the crucial step that India needs to take. I think it's on its way. I mean, Indian, obviously, people are amazing, right? That's not in doubt. There's, in fact, a lot of the best products that are being developed today in electronics is being developed in India, but India doesn't own it. You see that's the gap. So I think that's the transition that India needs to make. So that's on the design side. On the manufacturing side, of course, we all know the fabs are located outside of India.
Right.
India had a very good opportunity to continue certain developments in the past, right? Like there was a fab in India in the past, SCL. But I think there is an opportunity today that presents itself. And the reason for this opportunity is this, right? So you have, anytime there's an inflection point, you have an opportunity to intersect. What inflection point are we looking at today? Chips are getting more and more complex, right? SoCs are commonplace. Chiplets are going to become important, very important in the future. 3D stacking, complex assembly of chiplets, packaging including chiplets, all going to be very important. Those could be excellent areas for India to intersect, right? So there's a saying, you want to skate to where the puck is going to be,
Right.
not where the puck is today. So I think if India can invest in those areas that can engender the development of such complex packaged systems, I think that would be an excellent place for India to start, right? As far as full-blown manufacturing and advanced deep submicron technologies, I think that's also an opportunity. Of course, it does require a lot of investment and there's a lot of obstacles.
Right.
We are aware of the obstacles. And so it does need examination, but I think it is kind of strategically important. I don't think, so the geopolitics of tomorrow is going to be shaped by what we do in electronics today. So I think it's actually strategically essential, in my view,
Right.
to invest in manufacturing as well. Besides all the other things I mentioned,
Right.
complex packaging, design, and such. I think manufacturing is going to become essential because
That should be the focus.
it's very important strategically, because wars are going to be fought with what? It's going to be fought with using autonomous drones, and machine learning will be powering a lot of that. Where are they going to reside? How are you going to get the chips for those? I mean, at some point you have to stand out. You have to stand up for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, I think it is absolutely necessary to own that. From a business perspective, obviously there are obstacles to cross, but there are some things beyond business. I think this is strategic, especially the advanced node manufacturing. I think is strategic. The rest of the stuff, I think, business-wise, it makes a lot of sense as well, right?
Right.
Owning intellectual property. There are very smart people in India today, and those individuals can indeed, they should, have start their own companies, right? Entrepreneurship is, getting better. I'm very glad to see a lot of activity going on.
Right.
The last several months, 2 years, I've seen a marked change in energy level, right? That's been phenomenal to see. Now, so there's been a stigma in developing your own company, right? As opposed to joining a larger company.
Right.
I think if we can overcome that, that's going to make a huge difference in spurring activities related to entrepreneurship and making the companies, the future big companies hopefully are based in India.
Okay, wonderful. One last question. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the kind of work you have been doing?
Yeah, so I have been primarily in the field of what we call analog to digital conversion. Okay, so electronics, circuit design, particularly as it connects to the circuit design at the interface of the real world and the digital world. Okay, so the real world is analog, the compute world is in digital, right? There has been an exponential improvement in processing power, inference capability due to machine learning and just raw, process improvements. The real world is still analog. Where does most of the information in the virtual world come from? From the real world.
Right.
That real world has to be digitized. So we focus on that. There is a gap emerging. We're focusing on this gap to close this gap by building some of the world's highest performing analog to digital and digital to analog converters, particularly as it particularly implemented in advanced deep submicron technology, because that's where the world needs to be from a system integration perspective, right? We got to incorporate these advanced data converters built in advanced nodes onto systems on chips, which are being built in advanced process nodes. So that's what I've been occupied with. A company is Omni Design. We are focused in this particular area, right? Yeah.